Gang, wait, what's up? It's Trollbot.exe, and I'm back again with the third episode of the history of Kamen Rider. Today, we are covering Kamen Rider Amazon and Kamen Rider Stronger. I am happy that this part is going to be shorter than the previous two since, unlike the original series V3 and X, the two series I'm covering don't have any original films. So, let's hit that good old recap. Yee! Previously on the history of Kamen Rider, seeing the success of the original 1971 series, Toei initially proposed having it run for over 100 episodes, but that was turned down and the extra episodes were instead folded into a new series, Kamen Rider V3. The series proved just as popular, and actually even more so than the original. However, at Toei's animation department, they were also experiencing a renaissance with Mazinger Z, originally slated for 57 episodes, got extended to 92. As a result, the Henshin hero genre started by Kamen Rider was shrinking in popularity. NET was also growing tired of Kamen Rider. So, many adaptations were added to Kamen Rider X, the next show after V3. One of those adaptations being King Dark, the main villain for the last 12 episodes of the series. King Dark is a giant robot, made as an answer to Mazinger Z. Despite this, X had lower ratings than its two predecessors. So, what is Toei's move now? Find out now. Now, as stated at the end of the previous episode, Kamen Rider X was originally intended to run for 50 episodes, but unsatisfactory ratings dropped the episode count to 33. But with development of the next series behind schedule, reasons I will cover later, X got 2 more episodes, bringing its final episode count to 35. So, the original plan was to have X run on NET, and the next series air on TBS. But with X getting cancelled, a new show had to be created to smooth out the transition. So, contrasting the technologically advanced X Rider, the proposal wanted a beastly Rider as a return to the first ever episode. The vibe of the show was also meant to be like pre-World War II kids material in Japan. Inspired by the post-apocalyptic film Zardoz, Ishinomori came up with Dragon Rider, where a wandering martial arts master named Ryu travels around defeating enemies. It was scrapped because of it not conforming to a primitive worldview. The theme song, however, contains elements of this. Yeah, I can hear it. So, what was Plan B? A Tarzan-esque style was added to the proposal. This is the only show in the Tachibana era, consisting of the first 5 shows, to not feature any returning Kamen Riders. The original doesn't count since there are no previous riders. Director Yusaku Uchida explained this phenomenon. It's because Amazon is supposed to be fundamentally different than previous writers, as it was made from scratch. So they saved the previous writers for the next show. Now let's talk about the plot. Daisuke Yamamoto, who was lost in the Amazon as a baby, grew up alongside a secluded native population. Thus he was named Amazon. Toei was really on their originality bag with this one. One day, Geddon, a secret society led by the 10-faced demon, tried to steal the ancient Gigi armlet. Luckily, Elder Bago transplanted the armlet into Amazon, transforming the latter into the Amazon Rider. Before dying, Bagel sent Amazon to Japan to keep the armlet away from the demon. However, the latter followed him there, and thus a long battle begun. How was it received? In the Kanto region, ratings turned out a disappointing 15.7%. However, in the Kansai region, Amazon held a 17.6% average, with the first episode having 23.6% of viewers in the region. Though there were complaints about the violence and Amazon appearing half naked half the time, people have often attributed these aspects to Amazon's short 24-episode run, when in reality it was always meant to be that short. And thus, Amazon was the last series for a while to air on NET, or TV Asahi. And from 1975 to the end of the 20th century, Kamen Rider would air on TBS. And at the request of them, when Kamen Rider went to TBS, a new installment was aired instead of Amazon episode 25. So, let's check out the first of these TBS series with Kamen Rider Stronger! Toru Hirayama proposed a show with 5 writers. However, MBS film department head Itaru Shono said that there can only be one. The proposal would become the basis for Go Ranger, which debuted the exact same day as Stronger. And funnily enough, on Amazon's time slot. See, when Kamen Rider switched from NET to MBS, here is how it went. So on NET, instead of Kamen Rider Stronger airing there, Kamen Rider Amazon would be replaced by Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger, the first Super Sentai series. This left Kamen Rider Stronger taking up First Human Gator's time slots. Interestingly, Gator switched time slots while it was airing. The only reason I know about the show is because one of the animation staff, Minoru Maeda, who would go on to be the chief animation director for Dr. Slump, and more importantly, Dragon Ball, and the first 199 episodes of Dragon Ball Z. Okay, back to Stronger. This new rider was to be a modified electric man, even given the name Kamen Rider Spark. Since Spark was a trademark at the time, the staff changed it to Stronger. The staff wanted a new rider to have an electric hook to it, so they created a striking title. Unused concepts from Dragon Rider, like the Wandering Hero, and many design elements were used in Stronger. So those Dragon Rider elements didn't really go to waste. Now, let's go to the plot. A young man, Shigeru Joe, joins the evil organization Black Satan. He volunteers to become an electric cyborg, but he avoids brain modification using a self-hypnosis device. He reveals it was all a ploy to gain power to destroy Black Satan. At the same time, he meets and rescues Yuriko Misaki, who was turned into an electro-wave cyborg. From then on, they became Kamen Rider Stronger and Electro-Wave Human Tackle, fighting Black Satan's bizarre machine men, during which they meet Tobei Tachibana. Girls wanted to play Kamen Rider too, so, at their request, the first heroine in Kamen Rider history was made, Electro-Wave Human Tackle. She was supposed to be a full-on rider, but that was shut down to Itaru Shono's there can only be one policy. Black Satan cyborgs, the bizarre machine men, were actually supposed to have distinct characteristics, like a modified gas man. However, portraying them like this in a single episode would have been very difficult, so that was cut. Stronger was supposed to run for 52 episodes and feature a third villain group after Black Satan and Delzer, named the Half Machine Men. However, due to unsatisfactory ratings, and with the episode count dropped to 39, the Half Machine Men were made members of the Delzer army, who would take over from General Shadow. Thus, they are sometimes dubbed the later Delzer. Since the broadcast time was moved up 30 minutes, which would not allow children to get home from work on time to see the show, MBS's program strengthening campaign also failed. So, in June, they decided to let Kamen Rider go out on a high note. In order to do this, all 7 writers, alongside their actors, were brought together for the only time, and Shotaro Ishinomori directed the final episode. Hopefully, his manager Noboru Kato said nothing about this. During the trailer for episode 39, narrator Shinji Nikkei announced it to be Kamen Rider's final episode. So they filmed episode 39, and after filming was completed, a party was held to commemorate the end of the Kamen Rider series. The episode aired on December 27th of 1975, the final week of that year, fittingly. A television special, Altogether, the 7 Kamen Riders, aired the week later as a commemorative New Year 1976 special. The special was set at Korakuen Amusement Park. Now, Korakuen was the set for many tokusatsu live shows, which would be done for Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, Metal Heroes, and more. They last even to this day. So, now the plot. The amusement park is under attack by the remnants of Delzer, led by the Dark General. So, the 7 riders come together to take care of the problem. The special was originally supposed to be titled The 7 Riders, A Glorious Battle Record, and the Dark General was supposed to be named General Black Devil. And also the Dark General shares his name with the major villain in Mazinger Z, known as the General of Darkness. In Japanese, they have the exact same name. So, what was next? MBS continued to broadcast TV programs in Stronger's time slot. Eventually it became TBS's Saturday primetime slot in the late 70s and early 80s. Also, MBS, Toei, and Shotaro Ishinomori would continue their line of tokusatsu hero shows with Space Iron Man Kyodine in 1976. So, that's that for the Tachibana era and phase 1 of the Showa era. Yay! Now, next time, after a short break, I will go into the 1980s with Skyrider. Though the first half aired in 1979, but let's ignore that. Well, until then, later, fools.